So hello and welcome back to another episode of Scenes Forward. Now if you're particularly observant, you'll notice that we quite like convertibles in this household. Out of the 5 cars we own, 3 are convertibles, so that's quite high ratios of convertible to normal non-convertible cars. However, each of these cars has slightly different ways of going about the whole convertible way of getting the roof down. So today we're going to go over each one, looks at the pros and the cons of each and decide which is better. So let's start by talking about the Figaro. Now this has a soft top only. Now it's a little bit different though, because this is almost like a sort of vinyl material. It is mechanical. So you open up this little bit, I won't do the full procedure, but you open up this bit and it folds away into there. Some straps in there, so it's nice and secure, and you do that. Now this isn't strictly a full convertible, because obviously it's only this sort of, it's all like an elongated sunroof almost. If you think of like Fiat 500Cs, my Bath that used to have had this sort of arrangement. Now it is a bit different being this sort of vinyl material. It's not a like a fabric, and we'll come on to the SL shortly and talk about fabric sunroof, so it does feel a little bit more secure, does feel a little more robust when driving this car in the rain. Now this is a mechanical system, so there's very little to go wrong, which will come on to the SLK is an automated one. So I think this is possibly a very good all-rounder. It's quite simple, it's quite secure, not every little bit is soft top, so it's a bit more usable day to day, but you still get to put this back and you get to have sort of convertible experience, but it's not the all-out experience of something like the SL or the SLK. Now my R107 SL, to be doubly awkward, has 2 roofs, and it has this soft top and there's another one we'll come on to in a minute. This soft top folds away to a compartment just under here, so you still get the practicality of having got a decent sized boot, unlike the Figaro, which has very little storage space. You either, if you want to take a suitcase, you can put it on the back seat, or you can put it in the compartment which the roof folds in, but you can't have the roof down. At least this you have a sort of separate boot area and soft top area, the compartmented and all that sort of stuff. That's quite a big word for me. Obviously a soft top, not very good for security, not very good for in the winter. It doesn't keep a lot of heating, so you have to have the heating on permanently. But it does fold away nice and easily. This one is a mechanical one. It did have at one point, but this particular car did anyway, a this is automated, not automated, electronic one, so it would fold away all on its own apparently. That doesn't work anymore. I think that was done probably about 30 years ago. So yeah, I've tried it and it doesn't work, so I'm not going to go investigating that, because it's so simple to put this down once you've done it once, or try to figure out the first time you do this, always a bit confused what to do where, and because you have to lift this bit up and then you have to sort of get this cover open and all that, and yeah, it's a little bit of a faff the first time. Once you got done a couple of times, then you sort of remember, and you sort of know the way of doing it all, and it sort of all fits together quite nicely. However, this isn't the only roof that the SL has. So this is roof number 2 for the SL. Now this is a hard top, so it's a more permanent solution to the soft top. Now, as I mentioned, the soft top isn't particularly that good in the winter, so the idea is you use soft top during the summer when it's nice, just flip it down, you can have the open roof experience where it's a little bit chilly or a bit wet. You obviously put the soft top back up and it's really easy to do. This, on the other hand, is a bit more of a pain. It is a 2-person job. It is quite weighty, and you do have to line everything up perfectly. Obviously, you have to lift it up and put it on the car, so you have to have a person each side. So it is a bit of a faff. This has been on a couple of times and been taken off a couple of times. I find this a massive pain. This probably won't actually get used anymore, purely because I have this space, I have this barn to store the SL in, so I don't actually have any need for a more permanent solution. But I haven't always had this barn. I have kept the car outside for a couple of winters, so having this was actually quite a good benefit when I bought the car, but now it's not quite as much, because it is a bit of a big item to store. It's not that it folds up nice and neat, nice and small. I also had to buy the stand, which is about £70–80, and now it's something that's stuck up the corner, which I can't really do anything with. It's probably going to stay here for a while now on this stand. But if you do keep your car outside, particularly during the winter, these are fantastic. They do make it a lot more of a more pleasurable experience as well. Particularly during the winter when it's a bit cold, a bit grey, a bit miserable, you don't often have a chance to get the roof down. So you might as well put something a bit more permanent on. And it does make it much more of a sort of coupe feel then. So it does have its advantages as well as disadvantages. But what if you wanted all the convenience of having a roof that can fold away? Admittedly, this one folds into the boot, so the practicality side of it isn't that good. But you also wanted the security, and particularly in the winter, the advantages of having a hard top. Well, this was the solution of the R170 SLK that I own here. Now, these roofs are fantastic. They're fascinating to watch. This boot is interesting to watch because it has to fold that way and also up that way, so you can access the boot when the roof is up, or you want to access to get something when the roof is down. So it's fantastic in that respect. It obviously makes the car a lot more drivable during the rain. It also makes it a lot more drivable during the winter. We have some bad weather. Obviously, it feels much more like a coupe. But then when the rain stops, when you have a nice summer's day, you can put this down into the boot. As I mentioned, it does take up quite a bit of space in the boot, unfortunately. But it gives you that advantage. It really does give you the sort of best of both worlds. However, these roofs can be quite complicated, and they can be quite complicated when they break. Sometimes it can be a really simple fix, other times it can be a much more complicated fix and also a much more costly fix as well. So with everything that we've seen today, there's always advantage and disadvantage, but which one do I think is best? So I'm going to say that a very simple but effective mechanical soft top is best, either like this or something like the Figaro. I quite like this because it has its own little compartment to actually fold away. It doesn't fold into the boot like the SLK or the Figaro, so it means you haven't got anywhere to store anything. But obviously, if you're going to use the car, and at the moment you're going to use the car all year round, you probably would look at something like the SLK, and the SLK probably would be a better bet, or something with a folding hardtop roof. So there you go, to answer today's question, there's pros and cons to each of them. I quite like this for its simplicity. I wouldn't bother with the hardtop if I were you. I'd just keep it as the soft top. But obviously, depends how you're going to use the car, how much you're going to use the car in the winter. If it's a second car, you can get away with it. If you know you're not going to use much in the winter because it's a bit of a second summer fun car, you can get away with a soft top. If it's something that you're using all year round though, probably better off looking for a hard top. Okay, has the disadvantage of the limited boot space and the roof is down, but this is so much more of a usable car during the winter, and it also gets the extra bit of security. Yeah, it's just a bit of a better all-rounder. But yes, it can't quite beat the simplicity of a mechanical soft top. So thank you very much for watching today's video. Of course, this is all just my opinion. I just wanted to point out a few differences between the different roofs that I have here and I have access to, and my experience with those. I'd love to hear your experiences as well, and what you think, what you've owned, and all different stuff. So please do put that in the comments below. So thank you very much for watching. It's going to be goodbye from me, goodbye from all three of the cars, and we will see you again real soon. Goodbye.